Hi, everyone. It's Chris Pastore. I'm the director of the Master Liberal Arts program. We're going to start in like 1 or 2 minutes. We're waiting to see if a couple more of the folks at RSVP join us. So we'll be ready to roll just shortly. Thanks. Okay, I think we should just get rolling. Glad you could join us. Thanks for getting on Zoom with me and Akila Abdul Rahman, who's one of our expert members of our enrollment management team that helps with recruiting and admissions. And I'm glad that we'll be here to tell you a little bit about the MLA and what kind of see if it helps fill your needs in terms of where you're trying to go next in your academic pursuits. I'm recording this session, which is a plus for students that and prospects that couldn't get on the call. But we'd love to, also then follow up afterwards to answer any questions you have. Keela just put in the chat, please put anything in the Q&A box and we'll try and answer it as we go. But then once I run through a couple of slides and talk about some of the background info, I might open it up and you can unmute yourselves and we can have a more informal discussion. So thanks for joining us. I'm Chris Pastore, as I said. I'm a professor of art history, and I'm the director of the Master Liberal Arts program. I've been the director for about 18 years. I started when my younger daughter was 2 months old. She's a freshman in college now, so it's been a while, but it's been fun. I'm also here with, as I said, Akila Abdul Rahman from Penn LPS, and she's going to monitor the Q&A, the chat, and also help me answer questions as we go along. A couple of key things to remember about the Master Liberal Arts program. First of all, it's kind of like a create your own major program, but at the graduate level. So for students who've done undergrad degree, any other coursework and has an interdisciplinary bent and interdisciplinary background, the MLA could be a really great way to extend your learning experience at the graduate level. It's also a great program for people that major in something. Say you majored in accounting and you're working in finance, but you always love some of your gen ed courses and you want to study some humanities topics like film studies. MLA would be a great complement to an undergrad degree like that. It's also a great bridge program for people thinking about PhDs or other kinds of graduate programs in professional schools. It's 9 course units. Penn uses course units, not really like credits, but most of our grad courses are 1 course unit and they're equivalent kind of to 4 credits in most systems. So you do 9 classes. Basically, that usually means 8 grad level classes, 5,000 level numbers or higher at Penn, and your final course unit as your capstone when you write your final paper. You can do it full-time, you can do it part-time, you do it on campus, but we also have some online courses each term, both on the MLA and other rosters. So a lot of folks doing it a mix of online and on campus. And a couple of folks have really worked hard to do it fully online based on the logistics of life. It does mean you have a somewhat fewer courses that you can try out because not as many grad courses are online as are on campus. But you basically create your own course of study. You think of a concentration that's interdisciplinary. It could be something like, I've had folks do things like the history of cities. I've had folks do poetry, poetics, and philosophy. Kind of cool stuff within the arts and sciences. And you mix and match courses at the grad level that help you create that unique concentration. And in the process, you study a lot of different methods and in different disciplines, and then you pull those ideas together out of that concentration in your curriculum to support that final written capstone paper, which could be an academic essay or it could even be a creative writing piece. And we've had a lot of folks do all kinds of both fiction and nonfiction creative writing in a range of genres. And you finish that with the help of 2 readers that generally are drawn from the faculty and instructors you've taken MLA courses with. A lot of people wonder, why would you do an MLA? Well, you could do it because it could be really contributory to your professional development, maybe career transition, moving diagonally or moving laterally. Also is really helpful for personal and career purposes. It's cool because it's a focused course of study that you kind of target based on your own particular interests. And then in the process, you get back in the classroom, whether it's on campus or online, and you network with faculty and other students. and students that range from 18 to 80, coming from a lot of different backgrounds, which is really fun and exciting. It's also really flexible. As I said, we have full and part-time. I've had folks take one course a year and do this over 9 years. I've had folks do it full-time in 3 terms. And you can move between full-time and part-time depending on what else is going on in your life. It's really a cool program that you can do part-time, though, if you're working. Keep your professional life moving forward and add an academic experience. And it's really cool. And you earn a great Ivy League professional credential at the end in the Master of Liberal Arts. You have a really rigorous, intense, but rewarding and usually fun graduate level academic experience. And then you get to pop the Penn MLA on your resume. And Penn is the brand. Penn is important because it's a really powerful research institution. We have dozens of libraries, tremendous digital resources, and Penn is made up of 12 schools, the School of Arts and Sciences, our home school, and 11 professional schools, ranging from Wharton to communications, med school, law school, fine arts, and you name it. And those schools' faculty are really cutting edge. They're doing innovative research and they're bringing that right into the classroom. So you get into the grad classroom, you get a chance to really engage with faculty who are pushing their disciplines forward. And you kind of help with that as a grad student, because at grad students, you're not just absorbing information like you did as undergrad. You're really going to contribute in seminars and discussions with your writing that's going to actually help those instructors who are trying new material out on you as grad students in the classroom to push their research forward and grow knowledge and really improve how they're tackling their material. In the MLA, you also can challenge yourself and go broadly and then deeply into different liberal arts subject matter. So you might take courses in stuff that you've never really studied before, just for fun, and then figure out which course or discipline is really talking to you the most and speaking to you, and you want to pursue that further. And you'll take a couple additional courses and use that as sort of the core of your concentration. And you'll do this with outstanding teachers from our faculty, both standing faculty and affiliates, which is really cool. And in the process, you'll create that MLA concentration, but you could also maybe pursue an MLA certificate. We have certificates ranging from ancient studies and global studies to urban studies and gender studies. A lot of interesting options, but they're all options. You don't have to do a certificate, but you should develop your own unique MLA concentration in consultation with me as the director. File that form so we can get it on your transcript. And at the end, you write that final capstone and you develop all these interesting strategies in your courses. And then you figure out how to deploy them when you write that final research or creative piece. And you can see from a list of concentrations from a couple of springs ago, how broad those areas of interest can be. Social psych and human development, gender sexuality, media and culture, digital media and economics. We even had an awesome one. Nicole Wolverton did a thing on storytelling, horror, and society. She was really into narrative and storytelling, sort of from an anthropological, sociological point of view, how people tell stories to one another, but also in the genre of horror particularly. And she wrote a collection of really fascinating short stories in that genre, which is really, really cool. And then others that have just focused more broadly on creative writing or things like economics and public policy. So pretty cool stuff. And then these students create really interesting capstones. So Chris Yang, who finished up in the spring, wrote a capstone on NFTs and how that connected art and business and what the legal ramifications were of this new non-fungible token kind of concept within the art market. He studied courses on cryptocurrency, blockchain, digital media and economics, nonprofits, and then all courses like media platform and experience. Really interesting stuff. So he kind of dug into the economics, the theory, and actually what an NFT really is. How do you create one? How do you designate its individuality and ownership? And where does that fold into our traditional understanding of art within the marketplace, primarily with the commodification of objects of value like fine art? Dana Santour was really interested in developing a concentration in writing and culture, and she kind of mixed fun courses like children's lit with courses that were more relevant to her career as a professional writer, like writing for social media. And this allowed her to really explore a bunch of interesting things that were fascinating to her personally as a writer and professionally as a writer. And in her final capstone, she did a paper where she explored the history of true crime podcasts, why they're fascinating to a particular audience, and analyze that audience and their response to true crime, and then launched her own podcast based on what she did in her research. So it's kind of cool because it was like a research paper where then she developed this new creative element, which was her own personal podcast that explored a cold case where a woman disappeared from a train platform on her way to work some years ago. Matt Malone, who also finished this past year, was really doing a lot of high-level work in philosophy and literature. And he wrote a cool capstone that sat on top of what he called a concentration in philosophy and culture. He took courses in art history, literature, religious studies, and philosophy, and then developed this final capstone where he built on a paper he wrote in a course on Chaucer. In this course, Professor Emily Steiner asked all the students to write their own new Chaucer tale, right, as their final paper. So it's kind of a creative writing paper based on their experience learning about Chaucer and how he told stories and what stories he told and why and what they meant to his audience. So Matt wrote a expanded new version of this story, which was Chaucer's story of The Dream of the Stables, and couched it as a newly discovered work by Chaucer, and then wrote a series of fictitious analyses of the philosophy and the Chaucerian flow of this story by contradiction to existing known works of Chaucer in his Canterbury Tales. So it's really cool because it was a layered work where it was creative writing and philosophy, and the philosophy was all about the understanding of self-identity and our place in the universe and how that fit into understanding philosophy and the liberal arts. Really fun, crazy cool, multiple layered aspect. And he was a philosophy student, really, but decided he was going to stretch some new muscles after he was asked to do this creative piece. And it was really fascinating. Haven't ever seen anything really quite like it. And students do this by taking a bunch of really cool courses here at Penn. I'm just showing you a couple of the courses that are featured for the spring. We're going to do a new course that Kendra Grimmett is launching called Picturing Humanity on the Body in Western Art, which should be really cool. Professor of English and Film Studies, Rahul Mukherjee, is doing a course on transnational TV. That will be one of our MLA Pro seminars and fills that requirement. And it's going to be a totally interesting way of looking at the fact that people watch TV differently. But then what happens when TV breaks out of a national audience and becomes effectively transnational, and people from other cultures start to watch that TV and learn more about how they are similar or different from the folks for whom that original programming was developed. Christy Davis is going to teach a creative writing course called Writing Experiments, which is really cool for folks that just want to get out there and try to write in different genres and learn a little bit more about how you can approach the written word and sort of write in your own voice. MLA students do all kinds of great stuff after the fact. They've gone on to do PhDs. Some of our previous students are now faculty at other universities. We have folks that have gone on to PhDs, JDs, and MBAs at Penn, at UC Santa Barbara, at Yale, at Oxford, and a whole bunch of really cool programs. A lot of folks also have advanced in their career. We did a survey some years back. That's a little while back. We had about 900 alumni at that time. Now I think we might have 1,500. And we had almost 500 respondents from our 900 alumni. And 98% of them said they hit the goal of personal intellectual enrichment. But then that set of 98% of 500 of 900 said that it helped them professionally, even if that was not their original target, meaning they got promotions, they got more confidence, so their boss gave them different kinds of programs. Some of them then also switched careers once they grew their power skills of oral written communication and felt more confident in the workplace. So it was really cool. Many people come here for the intellectual engagement, but they leave here and oftentimes then have really wonderful professional development experiences and outcomes after finishing the MLA. And the alums all tell us it. It's reinforces everybody's commitment to being a lifelong learner. The personal growth, to getting in a classroom, to reading and discussing material at a high level in grad school is really rewarding and can be a ton of fun. The basic admission requirements are some essays, 2 academic professional letters. I'm okay with professional letters. If you've been out of school for a while, that's cool. We need a resume, all the transcripts from your post-secondary institution, so from college, study abroad, you name it, any grad courses you've taken, and the app fee. We have rolling admissions, so you can apply now. I think right now for spring and summer, and I think fall will be open soon too. So November deadline for spring 2024, April for summer, and July 1 for fall 2024. But you can start now and apply, and as soon as your application is complete, we'll schedule an interview and learn a little bit more about what you want to study, and I'll talk to you about what the MLA can offer. And so you could get a decision earlier. There's no reason to wait for the deadline. You can go on our website for more information at sas.upenn.edu/LPS and learn a little bit more about what we need and how we can figure out if this is a good opportunity for you. The financial information I'm posting right now, 2022, 2023, our tuition and fees were $56.54 per course unit. That was tuition and fees. We charge per course. So there's no like full-time flat fee. It's based on how many course units you take. So if you take one, you pay $56.54. If you take two, you pay double that. If you're a full-time taking three, you pay 3 times that, or 4, you pay 4 times that. Full-time is required for international students here on a visa. But as I said, we don't have a set term tuition. We just charge per course. U.S. Citizens and permanent residents, I think, are eligible for financial aid for subsidized loans for students taking 2 course units or more. And that's kind of it for the slides. So what I'm going to do is stop the share and open it up to any questions. So you folks are all here. You could unmute yourselves if you wish and ask me your questions. I'm also going to answer any questions that pop up either I see in the chat or in the Q&A. Can you concentrate on only one discipline? No, right? This is an interdisciplinary program. So our goal is to have you study multiple disciplines. So even if you're really, really fully focused on economics, you can't take just economics courses. There are MAs and PhDs for economics, both at Penn and other schools. We would want you to take some econ, maybe mix in a couple of political science courses and a history course, and maybe get involved in thinking about behavioral economics as opposed to like Penn straight quant econ. Deadline for international students for spring admission. Usually we ask international students to apply like a month ahead of the normal deadline because that gives them more time to get through the process, get interviewed, get reviewed for admission, get an admission decision, and still have time to get that I-20 and that visa all done. So if you're an international student thinking about spring admission, which would start in January, I'd recommend that you get that application filled out now and hit submit so that you can stay on time in terms of getting all your paperwork in so that you can plan for course registration in advanced reg, plan for relocation, and get that visa firmly in your hands. Can I speak to the MPhil? Sure. Thanks, Alex. The MPhil is basically a more advanced degree where students who have completed an undergrad degree and earned a graduate degree and have an interdisciplinary background and a plan for a likely thesis topic can apply to the Master of Philosophy and Liberal Arts. It's still an interdisciplinary program. You hopefully would take 5 courses at the graduate level in different disciplines and then take the your final course unit as the MPhil thesis, but you have to have completed an undergrad and a grad degree. You don't have to know exactly who you want to study with at Penn, but if you identified some faculty members or lecturers here that you might want to try and take courses with, that would be important to tell us in your essay, because we want to know that A, you have the right training in the liberal arts, you understand what interdisciplinarity is. That's usually where an undergrad and a grad degree come together and they should complement one another, and that you're ready to take some high-level graduate courses and use them as a launch pad to write a longer thesis than you would do in the MLA program. You can feel free. I think you can put hands up probably, or unmute yourself and ask a question or type it into the chat. I'm going to put my email address in the chat and also let you know that I'm always happy to have people email me with small or bigger questions. We could set up a Zoom. We could talk about what's going on in your life and how the MLA or the MPhil could fit your interests. So I'm always happy to talk about. What's the typical applicant profile look like? There really isn't a typical applicant profile because we're an unusual program that we're a part-time Ivy League interdisciplinary program, right? That also offers full-time options. Most students have a solid GPA. We ask for a 3.0 as our target minimum for admissibility, but most applicants have a 3.5 or higher that are admitted to the program. Most students have done well in college, but they don't necessarily go to any type of college. It's not like we're only admitting Ivy alums or we're only admitting students who major in humanities. We admit students who have business degrees, accounting degrees from a range of schools, people that started school, dropped out, worked for years and came back and then finished their BA many years later or BS. So folks have all kinds of really different backgrounds. Sometimes we have folks who are like retiring. We had a fellow that just finished last year who was had a construction company and he was kind of done. He was sort of a snowbird going back and forth between Philly and Florida, but he always wanted to study archaeology. He did an MLA program in effectively Mycenaean history and culture, has been on some digs in Turkey and in Greece, and sort of filled a gap in his knowledge base about something he was passionate about that he had never studied before. So it was really cool. Our acceptance rate is variable. We try to make sure people don't apply if they're not admissible. So if someone emails me saying, I had a 2.8 in college, I'm not really sure, I was behind or whatever, I usually discourage them from attending and tell them they should look for another kind of program, maybe to get prepped. But for the most part, our students are strong, have an academic, previous proof of a strong academic experience, and indicate to us that they have the writing skills and the right preparation to do well in a grad class here at Penn. You're not really competing against other applicants because we're not a cohort program. What you're doing is letting us know that if you take a grad course here at Penn, you will not be in over your head. That's what we want to see in an application. Someone asked about application essay number 3, about transcripts and other records. You can admit it. You could just go and say number 3, not applicable, and then move on to number 4. So you can skip, just basically type in that we know you saw that question, but you don't necessarily need to write an answer for it. Couple common questions Akila mentioned that people ask about: certificates. Okay. Penn undergrad and graduate programs offer degrees, and most degrees have a major. The Master of Liberal Arts as an interdisciplinary program has a degree of liberal arts. So that's what you graduate with, an MLA, an individualized liberal arts. But then you declare an MLA concentration, as I mentioned. That's your concentration, usually an interdisciplinary thing described in 5 words or fewer, right? And then I review that based on your courses and the papers you're writing and what you're proposing to do in your capstone. If it's approved by myself and or my faculty committee, if I need to bounce it off them, that will go in your transcript when you submit the form. You can also do a certificate. And as I said, there's a range of certificates. You can see them on the website. If you go to the MLA homepage, I'm going to pull that link up while I'm at here. Let's see. Let me go to the MLA degree programs, Master of Liberal Arts. And go to certificates. I'm going to put the link in. There's a range of different kinds of certificates out there. They are not mandatory or required. Your concentration is something that you should declare, but if you want to do a concentration and a certificate, and they can be one can be more narrow than the other, that's okay. Generally, the certificates usually require 4 or 5 courses in a zone, right? Maybe not all in the same department, but in a where that talk to one another, and a capstone in that area. So there are a lot of folks who might do like a certificate in cinema studies, but then their concentration may be French 20th century philosophy and film, right? Or something like that. So they may sort of bounce off of one another and talk to one another. For the capstone, will there be an advisor or committee developing it with the student? You basically develop your proposal based on things you studied and things you're interested in still writing about. You then share that proposal with me, perhaps. We brainstorm, and then you go out and recruit 2 readers, primary and secondary. They're usually, and this is usually the best path, people you've taken classes with here at Penn. So you and they know each other and have, it's easier to manage your expectations. Those 2 readers would be your capstone readers that would help you develop that proposal into an outline, help you consider what research material you want to do that's going to fold into your bibliography. And they're going to be people that read the drafts, give you feedback, constructive criticism, and help you finalize that capstone. I would be the generic academic advisor for everyone in the program as the director. Can any professor at Penn serve as an advisor on the capstone? Yes, if you ask them and they say yes. They could be professors in the School of Arts and Sciences or outside the School of Arts and Sciences. But particularly if you've had them in class, they're eligible to give graduate credit. That's important, right? And that you've worked with them before. So you're not introducing a wild card that could be problematic. Any other questions? I'm going to put a link to the MLA course page for fall in the chat. But if you go to that page, you'll see you can go up and down. You can look at spring courses. You can look at courses at the grad level and other programs here at Penn. So you can have a lot of fun digging around Penn's campus. You can go to department websites and look up faculty and the courses they teach and all kinds of stuff. Someone's graduated from Johns Hopkins, spring 2024 with a master's. If you want to start in summer, I think you probably might want to wait and apply till later in the fall when your Johns Hopkins transcript will show more of your courses, but you don't have to wait to apply until after you finish that master's. But then probably once you apply, if you're admitted in summer, we'll probably ultimately want to ask for your final transcript with that posted degree from Hopkins once we get it. I'm going to share my screen and show you a couple things. So as I mentioned, you can see a lot of stuff going on. You can see our courses that are being offered. You can go by term. You could go to LPS. Let's look up spring, look at grad courses, because remember, MLA can take any grad course, 5,000 or above and higher. We're a division of School of Arts and Sciences, so all these courses could count. You just may need a permit into an environmental studies course, for example, let's say, versus the liberal arts courses, right? The Master of Liberal Arts usually has an evening roster of 14 to 18 courses, maybe 12 or so in the summer. You're not restricted to those, but it can be a good place to start. You will be required to take one MLA pro seminar, like Kathy Hall's Cultural Diversity and Global Connections, and this will introduce you to some of our standing faculty members at Penn who teach these courses. You can also do a lot by going around to places like the School of Arts and Sciences website, go on the department website, say, I'm really interested in history, go to the history department and look at their grad courses, right? Look at their faculty and then chase the faculty, read them, read their bios. There's a really cool course. Let's say we want to go to graduate. You'll see that there are going to be all courses then that have higher level numbers. Where did fall? Oh, not fall 2022. That's way behind. You can go to different kinds of places to read faculty information, all kinds of cool stuff out there to help you get information. So do a lot of poking around and see what's out there. I recommend letting your fingers do the walking. Is an interview determine whether you're qualified? We interview students that we, after a first review of the application, believe are admissible to the program. And that gives you a chance to tell us a little bit more about yourself, what you're trying to accomplish. It also gives us a chance to kind of bounce ideas off you about how you could approach this program based on what you studied previously and where you're hoping to be 5 or 10 years down the road. So the interviews are a really good opportunity to have a good conversation about the MLA and whether it might fit your academic needs. Akila put a link into the course catalog so you can look at some stuff on Penn's website and see what kind of things are offered. Remember, though, as I said, courses should be graduate level to count, right? And grad level, I'm typing it in, is something like the course I'm teaching, Art 5050 640 is a 5,000 level course. If you saw a really fun course, but it was Art 1601, that's a 1,000 level intro undergrad course, so it wouldn't count. So you want to do all grad courses, and that's the way to build your program. Any other questions? No writing sample required. Well, basically your essay is going to tell us a little bit about where you're coming from, and we're going to balance that against, what you write with your academic background. But we don't ask for a long writing sample. This isn't like a PhD program where we want you to send, a paper you wrote in a previous course or something. So there's no writing sample, but you would want to, put your best foot forward in the written answers to the essays. Somebody's asking if you could take some courses online. Yeah, they're all grad courses, so they would all count. If they're SAS courses, you're allowed to 2 non-SAS courses. That might say you want to take a course at the end of our school of communications. You could take 1 or 2 max, not 7 or 8 of your CUs. If you're an international student, though, and you're here full time, you would be allowed only 1 online course per term. If you're a national student studying from outside the country, you could do more. If you're a U.S. citizen or a domestic student and you want to take half your courses online and do 1 online and the next term come to campus, that's all good. You can mix and match. Kind of depends on what category of student you fall into as to how many online courses you can take. But as I said, I've had some students relocate for work overseas and basically do almost all their coursework online. And I have a student right now who's in Ann Arbor, Michigan, and he's taken all online courses so far because he's working for Google remotely from Michigan. He's on the town council there as well. So he's trying to do a fully remote program. And every term he's hunting around and seeing what remote online course fits into his area of interest. He's really trying to learn a little bit more about culture and politics. So yeah, you can mix in online courses. As I said earlier, there'll be fewer subjects covered in online courses because there are hundreds and hundreds of grad courses offered by the School of Arts and Sciences PhD programs, master's programs, LPS graduate programs, and programs at other schools. But of those, only a small handful in many programs are offered online. So you'll have a smaller bandwidth of topic areas that you could do online. This is a great program for folks who've been out of school for a while. We don't require GREs. We're okay with your professional letters of reference. If you had a good track record and you graduated 15 years ago, but you're ready to get back into school because, maybe your kids are off to college and you have more free time, maybe, or work's change and you have some opportunities to mix in a course a term at night or something. It's a great opportunity to get back into the classroom and learn some stuff that you think is really cool. Typical seminar look like, class size. Seminars usually run between 6 or 7 and maybe 15, 17 students because you want to be able to have a discussion group. Workload, the grad level, probably a couple 100 pages a week of reading, and that might vary between chapters, books, and journal articles. Some weeks you may have more, some weeks you may have less. And depending on how that goes, you might also have some reading that you'll have to do to write your term paper or any other papers you have to do. But I know when I assign graduate level course reading, I'm hopeful that some of the stuff I assign that we read during the week and we use in our discussions may also be useful source material for your short or long papers in any given class I teach, so that we're not asking you to read 500 pages a week and read another 1,000 pages, a week for your research paper. Especially because we know, especially if each course can't be your only commitment, you're going to have other things you're doing, whether it's classes or work. So we're hoping not to bury anybody. Okay, well, if there aren't any other questions, we can always touch base later. You can drop me an email anytime you want, cpastore@upenn.edu. I put it in the chat. Akila added it in her last message as well. Email me, tell me what you're thinking, and I'll give you the best answers I can and make sure that you figure out if the Master of Liberal Arts is a good opportunity for you. Thanks for joining us today, and I hope you have a great afternoon and a great week.